Hey. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this Works Committee meeting to order. And Happy New Year, by the way. It's great to be back. Before we get started, I'm going to have our clerk explain the rules of the meeting. There's some changes again.
Not quite. So for the roll call, just make sure your lights will flash, hit yes that you are present. So I will start that now.
And I am present, just so you know. I think you're safe.
And we also have virtually Councillor Schumer, Councillor Foster, Councillor Pickles, and in chambers, Councillor McDougall and Councillor Garrett.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I was going to ask Councillor McDougall to raise his right hand, but I thought that would be inappropriate. All right. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none. We're at 3.1. This is the minutes from December the 7th. So I want to move and second those. Moved by Tito, seconded by Councillor Yamada. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right. Now we're into presentations, and we've got Eric Lemaine he's the manager of maintenance operations, and he's going to talk about our current service levels. So come on up, Eric. Okay, fair enough. So folks, we'll need to take a quick 5-minute break. Sure. Does that work from a tech perspective? Okay, so get a motion by Councillor Marin Pietri, seconded by Councillor Mulcahy, to alter the agenda. All in favor?
Also saw the two major claw cranes that pick up the trash and move it across to the conveyance to the boilers inside the DYEC. Important fact there was that I saw two of these particular, I'll call it super claws. So if one goes down, that facility can still operate. That leads into another topic we had this year as an advisory committee. We're looking at how does that facility operate? What's its uptime capability factor? So it is recognized that that the facility did have a few maintenance concerns earlier in the year. Those were resolved. There is ongoing work by the Works Department to increase the capacity of the facility to its maximum, to go from 140 tons, 140,000 tons to 160,000. So that's good news because the population of Durham Region is going to increase or double within the next 35 years. We are also looking at the emissions part of the facility as an oversight action, and we see that the source tests are all beneath the compliance limits. We do focus on the AMESA test as well, which is a secondary check on the facility and its operational parameters. And we're looking to see that those AMESA tests and their results get included in the adjustments to the operation of the facility. Lastly, one of the committee members, two last things. One of the committee members did look at if we could find a polystyrene recycling vendor somewhere in Canada, Ontario, or the U.S. We weren't successful. There is a large waste stream of polystyrene type items, so we'll continue to focus on that. We were looking at an outreach program on green bins. However, with the delay due to economics of the anaerobic digester and pre-sort, we're going to put that on hold at the moment because you need a cost basis to, say, double green bins for the people of Durham Region. And if you're going to double it, you need a facility to handle the doubling. We also did take a look at another aspect here. I just have to check on my notes. That was taking a look at outreach to the community. So the committee did go to the Catholic School Board in this instance, and we'll have a presentation to one of the high schools in Whitby or Oshawa on what Durham Region is doing for energy from waste and reducing the environmental footprint of the society and the people that live in this region, which I think is the most important, I'll call it strategic goal or item that all of you are doing in this room. So I want to say thanks to the council members and the people at the front of the room for the good work in this region. I think it's outstanding. Yeah. Who else has got a facility to keep landfills away or keep them from being created in the future? That's all. Thanks. How did I do? Did I do this in less than 5 minutes? Thank you. Any questions? Okay, I'm good.
Open up the questions. We have one from Councillor Nicholson.
Yes.
Oh, Brian, can you use your mic, please? Oh, just a second. Oh, do it one more time. I got new responsibilities today, Brian.
I can hear.
I have to use my loud voice as well because there, we got it finally. Okay, good. I guess the question I'm having is, well, I appreciate this verbal report. How do we communicate this report to the other members of council who are not here or to the members of the public if all we're getting is a verbal report? Why aren't we getting a written report so it's in the record?
Oh, there is a written report, and I'll let
No, I haven't seen
maybe Dean or someone respond. Or Dave.
So I'll pass this over to Commissioner Preston.
Through the chair, there is a written report, if and we can get it. I thought it was in the package, but we'll double check.
All right, I just don't like verbal reports and there's that card on the table because it's hard to keep a record. So, and we have another presentation the same. We're getting verbal reports on policy matters, and that seems not the most productive approach in communicating with our colleagues. So, just wanted to leave that.
Yes, Brian, Councillor Nicholson, thank you very much. Commissioner Preston.
Yeah, I was just reminded there is a annual waste management report document that you will receive and all of council will receive.
No, and I do understand that, but here we have a presentation by the chair and vice chair to the Works Committee, but we're only a recommending body. You know, whatever we decide, even if we just receive information, council has to know what we heard.
We'll make note of that and make sure that next year when we have our annual report that.
I know how I'd feel if another committee did it and I couldn't understand what they were getting. So it's just to be fair to our colleagues.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Nicholson. Are there? Oh, and we will pass it off to. Can you push a button?
Oh, that one. So sorry. Technically challenged this morning. I just wanted to remind the committee that all of the advisory committees have been doing verbal presentations to the standing committees that they report through. So you would have heard a number yesterday at Planning and Economic Development, but they are all followed by actual reports. And in this case, there has been a report, I believe, in the CIP.
My concern is if we're getting a report and with every one of these verbal reports, we get the opportunity to ask questions, it would be more prudent if we actually got the written report first so we could review it and then ask prudent questions based on that information. Getting the report in writing after the presentation doesn't offer us much.
We can look at that going forward to make sure they align on the agenda.
Yeah, and I'll echo the comments from our CAO. It's a very good, very valid and good point. Thank you very much for bringing it up. No, your mic's not on, but again, Brian agreed with Elaine and I that it's important, so thank you. Are there any additional questions? So again, just from my seat here, thank you for your service. Thank you for your excitement about all things waste. You know, it's extremely important what we've done here and previous councils have done when it comes to climate change. And I'm so proud of the work that's being done over at the FW and all of our recycling streams. So again, thanks for your part in it. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate the feedback, and I also appreciate being able to participate. Thanks.
Okay, now, Roger, are we good to go for our presentation? Yes. Okay, so we'll go back and bring up Eric to talk about our levels of maintenance and service.
Perfect. So thank you. As introduced, I'm Eric Lemaine. I'm Manager of Maintenance Operations and Fleet Services for the region. Here asked to present about the regional road maintenance service levels and our right-of-way responsibilities. Through today, I will go over quickly. There's a lot of information, but I'll cover some brief topics about the regional road network, the provincial minimum maintenance standards, our regional service levels and how they interact with the minimum maintenance standards, roles and responsibilities, and then the right-of-way responsibilities that are completed by others, and then finally just touching on some of the innovation and continuous improvements projects we have for this year. Our regional road network is comprised of about 840 centerline lane kilometers, which is about 2,400 lane kilometers. There's 57 regional roads, and they connect all of our 8 municipalities and our bordering municipalities with about 60% of a rural cross-section, which is essentially ditches, and then 40% urban, which is where you'll see the curb and gutter. Our provincial minimum maintenance standards are set out as a minimum requirement. They don't define the exact how to do the work. They give a guideline that is used for a legal defense, whether the conditions found are in a state of good repair or a negligent state. I've sectioned them off. There's a lot of them. I've tried to group them together for today's purpose just into 4 main categories that everybody can see. Winter maintenance, traffic signs, illumination, our road repairs and maintenance, which is where the focus will be today, and then a category just for emergencies around declaring significant events and closure of highways. Our Durham region service levels, there's many within the road responsibility and portfolio. Most of them I've separated here into 2 main categories. One is what we consider routine. Those are typically driven by the minimum maintenance standards and things that are dictated by a schedule that we must do. So those are things like the road patrol, weather monitoring, and then seasonal activities that have to be done. The other main category that most things fall into are deficiency-based or complaint-based activities. Our service levels dictate when we will go and how often we'll go, but they're basically once a deficiency is reported through either our patrol programs or a complaint from the public. There is also a section that I've included here just for information. There's areas as well within what the work that we do that is non-service level driven. Things like graffiti removal and weed removal outside of weed cutting. Those we do not have service levels for. So we do them as a complaint basis once it becomes known and once it's identified as a problem. Some of the service levels here I'll identify as well is things like the grass cutting, weed mowing. Those things are not identified in the provincial minimum maintenance standards. The provincial standards more focus on the actual function of the road, the traveled service, and the ditching. For the road maintenance responsibilities, I've only taken a few here to highlight kind of what the region does, but for the most part, the region does take care of all of the activities themselves. When we are not able to, due to resources, staffing, or just cost effectiveness, we use regional contractors contracted by us through tenders. With the exception, you'll see there machine mowing for the urban centers. That's in the areas where our curbs are. We do not do any of that activity. It's all contracted out. We have good participation and cooperation through our local municipal partners where they're set up for that and they take care of that work for us, with exception of the area in Pickering where we do that as a contracted service ourselves. The regional road responsibilities by others. I've tried to capture this because there are some misconceptions or some areas of confusion within the right-of-way. Generally, the region will look after property line to property line, but there are some things that are defined as the municipal act, such as sidewalks, that are outside of the region's jurisdiction, even though it's along the regional right-of-way. Some of the other areas here that might be noted is utility contractors have a right to put their infrastructure in our right-of-way. They maintain it, and they also complete the restoration work for their repairs. Moving through this one, I've identified as one of our kind of leading projects for innovation. We've adopted and continue to work with our partners, Visual Defense, and a larger group of municipalities to develop a program called City Rover. Most have probably heard of this. We've won a couple of awards last year for it. It's an artificial intelligence software that runs off a smartphone that's mounted to our patrol trucks. It will automatically take pictures of and detect the potholes and deficiencies along the roadway, and that allows us to better become aware of the potholes and then get out there in a more efficient manner to be able to repair them all. Along with that, we have a few other things that we've done in the last year, which again, most are probably aware of, but Enterprise Maintenance Management Systems, which is the onboarding and the implementation of our IBM Maximal program. That for maintenance operations is going to be a big thing in the future because we now are going to have a lot more ease of access to the information, service level requests, and our work orders that we're actually doing, getting away from paper and making it a lot more effective to plan activities. We are increasing our roadway event management system, and that is already created by our traffic department. We are participating in that by identifying any areas that are unplanned activities that may impact traffic and getting into emergency repair. So we're notifying people that way. There is a remote weather information system network. We're going to be expanding that this year. There's a public tender out right now, which we are going to be looking to increase our information for weather and then also be able to make better decisions around winter maintenance activities. Weed control is always an issue with that. Our programs basically function on a cutting of weeds. We're going to be looking at some new products that are non-chemical based or environmentally friendly projects to remove the weeds, essentially to destroy them before they get a chance to grow up again. Our road patrol programs, expanding that through training and activities with our City Rover project, and then also to increase attention towards aesthetics. Instead of just looking for the major and significant deficiencies, we'll look around for some more, let's call them the nice to haves, keeping things looking nice. And the last project that I wanted to mention is the significant events. We do not at this time have a policy for declaration of significant events, but through our climate change focus, we are developing a policy for that. We've had a lot of recent events. I think everybody knows the windstorm that happened last year. Even over Christmas, we had some significant weather drifting events, and as early as last week, we had roads that were closed due to flooding. So that policy will be able to help decide when we declare significant events and how that translates into what actions we're going to take next. So with that, I think I've rushed through. I've dumped a lot of information there, but my contact information is up there and I'm available for questions now if anybody has any.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We have on the speakers list, we are going to start with Councillor Crawford. Just a second.
Don't touch. Okay. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate your report and the work you do. You have a huge job with the regional roads, and I really appreciate the work that is being done. Just an observation in the last snowstorm, which was the significant one back about a year ago now, that our staff were in charge of the sidewalks and you were in charge of clearing the roads. And it felt like a fight between, we would clear the roads, you would plow and fill them back in again, and we would clear the sidewalks and you would plow them. It was like we were fighting with each other. And I know we don't have significant snow, and I don't know if that was, something that maybe we could look at a little bit. I don't know if we'll have a significant snowstorm like that again. That was crazy, but it did feel a bit like we were fighting with each other. The other thing I wanted to say, and I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this or not, and maybe this isn't an appropriate question, but I'm talking about road rationale, and have we been, is that not really the place to go? No, don't. Thank you very much for all your work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's appreciated.
Okay. Any comments on that? There's a couple of little questions there, but
yeah, through the chair. Yes, it does appear that sometimes we are fighting each other. We are working with all of our local area municipalities, and we do connect with them often during those operations. Through that, what our main plan is to coordinate a little better of the activities. As you know, the cities and our local area municipalities have service levels that dictate what they do as well. And that is through the minimum maintenance standards, the prioritization around who clears roads first or sidewalks. The roads are at a priority level above the sidewalks, so it's kind of the region goes first. But we do have that where we have those narrow boulevards where the sidewalks are there, or bridge structures that are very problematic. Generally through those, though, it's again solved by communication. We get contacts, we supply sometimes lane control to allow snow removal done by the local area municipalities. But a lot of that is, yes, we have the same with bus shelters and putting snow up there, and our focus switching to pedestrian traffic is one of the things we want to work on.
Okay, thank you very much. And next we've got Councillor Marin Pietri.
Thank you. Through your chair, Eric. Good morning. Just wanted to ask 3 questions, but the question regarding restoration repairs for utilities. I think generally the thought process is that they repair whatever utility that they've cut into our road. I know that we have a standard. We have to have engineering take a look at it, but oftentimes the deficiencies in the repairs are evident. It's much different than what was there before, and not just because it's been cut, but because I don't believe, and I think that we've all incurred this around the table, either at the staff level or at council, with the general public phoning us and us just visually seeing that it's not adequate. So I'm just wondering if you can inform us of how that can be improved, whether we do something where we in-house the repair, or whether we have some sort of an inspection service from our in-house to deal with the utility company, because oftentimes they get away with not doing the repair to the standard that we would expect.
Yeah, through the chair. So yes, great point. We feel the exact issue because those complaints do come to us, and a lot of times it does appear that it's the region that has completed the work or allowing it to happen. Is a short answer to that is, I would say the only way through that is just more enforcement, being aware of which areas those are. Like I said, through our service levels is a complaint and deficiency driven. So being identified and aware of those issues, and then we can follow up with utility contractors. To your point, the repairs are possible by the region and billed back to others. So we have that process as well. I think the quick answer is just we need to do more of that and become more aware of which areas those are that have to be fixed.
Yeah, and just through you, Chair, because I find that if we are the ones performing the repair, it looks great, like it's done right. So I don't know whether we can put forward a cost recovery system and work with finance to see whether or not we can do that as a policy or a standard moving forward, so that we're able to do that in-house, because I just find that consideration is a concern for the general public and for the corporation, and it's been that for a while. It's going to continue to be that. So we have to make sure we try to figure out a way to mitigate that concern and that evident deficiency. So the other questions that I have, we talked about medians and weed removal. Seems like it's pretty benign, but it's not. It's pretty visible. You're sitting there for extended periods at the lights. I'm just wondering whether or not, because it says that we don't have a service level for that. That's non-service level service provision, right?
Correct. It's the service level for weed control is part of our grass control, which is based on cutting, not removal.
Not removal. So I'm wondering whether or not we can, again, through you, Chair, to Tarek and our team, speak with engineering and when we've designed these roads and these medians, I think the easiest solution, and it kind of pains me to see it. We've got interlocking brick, that is put in the middle of a concrete curb. Why not have the entire piece concrete so that there are no weeds that climb through that? Our sidewalks are pretty well, an example of that. So I'm wondering whether or not engineering could help us, not so much with what we have there now, but in the long term, design things that are a little bit more maintenance friendly. If that's something that we can look at through you, Chair. And then the third question revolves around sidewalks. So on regional roads, oftentimes in areas, I find, okay, so the bus stops are taken care of by, our transit service and that team. But then the city gets involved in areas that are deficient in terms of accessibility on regional roads. So it goes to some of the comments, or I guess the query made by Councillor Crawford about rationalization. And it's not probably the venue to do it or the report to do it with right here, but through you, Mr. Chair, Eric, I think we're going to have to start looking at not just the rationalization of roads, but how we deal with sidewalks, because that is, and I just wanted to see if you can comment on that, not specific to rationalization, but sidewalks and how we deal with them.
Through the chair, say, yeah, it's outside of my purview kind of with the maintenance of sidewalks, but I can comment from what I'd like to say is, yes, it's a great topic and it is something that we have to look at. We work in that collaborative way with our municipality members to kind of work through any of those issues and those, like you said, the accessible areas and things like that. But yeah, it's a great point, and I think it's valid.
Okay, I appreciate the opportunity to ask questions, and I would just end through you, Chair, to say that I think we do a pretty good job. There's obviously room for improvement, and we would appreciate understanding how more of it can be done in-house. We find challenges with contractors. We talked about waste before. At the municipal level, we're having to look at things very closely in order to deal with not only the service provision, but the control of the service, and then obviously the costs that come from it. So I want to compliment our service providers, our in-house staff, frontline for doing the work that they do in an efficient and cost-effective way, which is a lot different than I think what people consider. But the fact is that we're finding success in-house, and I want to thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very, very much, Vice Chair. And next we've got Councillor Nicholson. And go ahead.
Thank you. You hear me okay? Okay. I want to preface my questions and comments. I'm only asking questions regarding Ward 5 in Oshawa, because I don't know what the standards are in the other municipalities. But I don't share the comments that are made previously. I think, and I want to be very clear, and I've made this aware to see your staff in the department, our road maintenance efficiency is dismal in Oshawa. It's embarrassing, and I'm going to put that on record at this meeting. In my constituency, all the major roads are regional roads. And when they compare to the local road system, they're just simply no comparison. I want to thank staff. Staff went out last fall with me. We did a drive around and looked at all the different areas in my constituency, and bridges and roads. And I think we all were in agreement that the level of standard of care that we had for those facilities was substandard. I have bridges that look like somebody dropped a mortar barrage on them. And then when we asked to do a repair on the bridge and repair some of the curbs that were falling apart, the repair was somebody went out and slapped asphalt on it, which actually made it look worse. I complained about graffiti on an underpass on Wilson Road, and I want to thank staff. They went out and they painted over it. It looked really nice. It was a white paint that went over all the graffiti. The next day, some kid came back and tagged the white paint. So staff went out again and they painted over the new graffiti with gray paint. So now I have a white wall with a square of gray paint in the middle of it. And people just look at that and shake their heads. They go like, what were we thinking? I want to follow up on Councillor Marion Petry's point that we have to find a way to stop the weeds growing up on our regional roads. I had weeds not only just growing up on the boulevard or on the curbs, but actually on the road next to the curb. So we had weeds growing through our regional road. And, when we went out with staff, some of these weeds were 4 feet high. It wasn't something that's happened in a couple of days. It obviously had been out there for months growing. And we have regional staff supposed to be inspecting this on a regular basis. Why do senior managers have to go out and be shown by a counselor that we got weeds growing through our roads? So the question I want to put is, I guess it's twofold. One is, have we considered that the general maintenance, litter pickup, weed removal, curb repair, the normal day-to-day maintenance, be transferred to the local tier on regional roads, with the local tier having the ability to bill a region for that work at the same level they would do for a local road? Have we ever made that consideration rather than waiting for a roadization program that's been going on for 25 years?
Through the chair, general question, yes, we do. We consider those on a case by case with each local area municipality. There are areas with, for example, Oshawa, where we do already. We provide them, so the city of Oshawa does all of our urban cutting and grass mowing for us. We in turn return funds to them for that. Same with litter pickup. Areas where identified that their service levels maybe they desire a higher service level than what the region is. We have agreements with that where we will transfer funds the equivalent of what the regional standard is, and then anything over and above is taken on by the cities. So to answer that, yes, that is a consideration.
Right.
A lot of times we already are doing that.
All right. I'll follow up on this after the meeting with staff on this. I know staff were expecting my call anyway. Have we ever provided to the Works Committee or to Council a comparator between the region service level standards and the lower tier service level standards so we can compare what we provide on regional roads as opposed to what is provided on local roads? Because I know in Oshawa, our local road standards are higher than the region. It's like the region is doing the bare minimum to get by. Although the region is far more wealthier than the lower tier. So I guess my question is, have we ever provided a report outlining that comparison?
Yeah, we'll let Commissioner.
Through the chair, I'm not aware that we presented it, but we can follow up on that request.
Well, I guess my concern, and I want to raise this, and I'm doing it, it sounds critical, but I'm trying to do it in a positive way to try to find a way to improve the system. My concern is, how much is it costing the city to meet its standard? How much is it costing the region to meet its standard? And given the wide distance between regional roads across Durham region, is it possible to be more efficient, more cost effective, to ask where possible the lower tier to provide those levels of service, and for the entirety of the system, and let the region handle the reconstruction and the bigger engineering matters? As I'm aware, the region doesn't even have curb up specialists or cement specialists on the staff, so they have to contract it out while the lower tier is sitting there with staff skilled to do it. So I mean, have we took a serious look at rationalizing the maintenance services, not just the roads in their entirety, but the maintenance services on roads, to find what's the best and most effective way to the taxpayers? Because we all know there's only one taxpayer. I'm just wondering, will we be seeing some kind of report on that in the next year or so?
Through the chair, we've made note of that, and we will work with staff and give you an update when potentially a report can be presented. We'll have to consult with Oshawa staff and get all the numbers. And
you may not want to. My concern, I guess, beyond that is a number of the areas identified as non-policy. And the one area that in my constituency that's a bugbear with me is graffiti. We spend tens of millions of dollars on bridge reconstruction. And within a matter of weeks, someone tags the bridge and it sits there for years until the councillor shows up and says, why aren't you going out there and cleaning it? Is it possible that we could establish a policy standard for the areas of grass cutting or grass removal, graffiti removal, so that we have an understanding what the expectation is? Right now, it seems to be on a complaint-only basis. But I'm not the only person driving on, say, Wentworth Street or Simcoe Street South or Ritson Road. Hopefully our staff at the region are driving these roads regularly. Why aren't they calling in graffiti? So I wonder if staff could address, is it a matter of just not having a standard, not having a reporting mechanism?
Through the chair, simply yes.
All right, so I guess I'm addressing this both to the delegate and to staff in general, that perhaps we need to develop a policy standard that the regional council could indicate what our expectation is in some of these areas where we don't have standards, because they're not meeting. We all went through elections. It was the number one response I got on regional matters was, why are our regional road systems just looking horrible? The last question, I just want to put it, I guess it's a maintenance issue. some municipalities have a policy where if they're not reconstructing a road within a certain time frame, be it 5 years or 10 years, they identify it as in need of an overlay, which both makes the road look better and might actually stretch that road out for a couple more years. We have crack sealing, but that doesn't seem to work. Have we considered looking at an overlay program on regional roads if we're not planning to reconstruct and replace them within a certain designated time frame?
Now, through the chair, I'll start and then turn over to Ramesh. We do have a asset management plan that looks at all our road conditions, ratings, and we prioritize resurfacing versus reconstruction based on the conditions that are out there. But I'll turn it for Ramesh to add further detail.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, we do that across the region. In fact, in Oshawa, we have examples such as Thornton Road, north of Stellar, which we know doesn't have a capital project for many years. That's in our radar for some pavement resurfacing. Park Road is another example. We got Wentworth between Park Road and Oshawa Creek Bridge. So, and obviously we have such examples across the city and across the region.
No, my concern is, and I give you an example of Bloor Street. It's now in its second decade of repairs because we keep doing it in phases. When we had problems in Simcoe Street North, we did it as one project. The businesses and the residents on Bloor Street are saying, when is this project ever going to end? As soon as we finish one section, we start on another section. We start on another section. Next to it looking horrible. You have to do overlay. You have to at least make the road look presentable. Because with all due respect, we're driving away investment in business by the fact that our roads don't look good. And, and like I said, I'm not speaking regarding other municipalities, but in Oshawa, we're getting the tale of two cities. The new roads that are put in the north of Oshawa are looking good because they're newer and but in the older traditional neighborhoods, our regional roads are embarrassing. And so I guess what I'm looking for is some kind of plan of action that's going to enhance the maintenance in the older traditional regional roads so that they don't look like they're substandard compared to the new regional roads in the growth areas. So I just want to leave that with you. The last question, because I don't want to dominate the process, is you've identified in your report a series of policy standards. Where can I find those online to actually read those policy standards?
I'm there's a works information page which has all of that, and we have a information management system internal to staff. External access, I think, is through council reports, and because they would all be council-driven policy.
Well, let me give you the problem I have is that if I put in a complaint saying this road is got a problem, it's got a pothole in it, or it's got a crack in it, or the curbs are falling apart, I can put it in the staff, but I never know what you did with it. Whoever gets back to me says we fixed it, or we repaired it, or we have a plan of action. And I have the difficulty then communicating that back to those that contact me. So I guess I'm looking for some kind of mechanism, short of me calling Ramesh or calling the head of the department to ask for an update. Is there some place where we can find out what the status of repairs are? Right now, I can't find it. If it's there, I've missed it. So that's what I'm looking for. Is there some place where I can get this information?
Yeah, through the chairman, 2 points I could make on that. In terms of publishing our standards online, sure, it's part of public reports, so that's something we can work on. Sorry, I missed the second part.
Response to complaints.
I would say it's Durham 311. When someone calls 311, there's a system that obviously you're always welcome to call myself or Eric Lemaine, but you're right, that's not sustainable. We certainly close the loop, whether you call Eric or myself. But Durham 311 has a similar mechanism. It goes to the right person. They do get a response email when the work order is completed. So it's in its initial stage. We are still trying to get through some wrinkles there, but like eventually that should be the single portal, no different than how City of Toronto does, right? They call 311, the complaint is logged, and if it's not within our policy, or if it's a minor pothole, for example, and someone raised a complaint, and if we are not going to get to it, because of other priorities, that communication is kept live with the resident who calls, and obviously, feel free to call me or email me, and the mechanism does work because I deal with it quite a bit on the traffic side, but on the road maintenance side, certainly I don't see a lot, but the same option is available.
Well, my concern is 311 is great at intake.
Yeah.
It's after the intake that we're falling apart. Is that the work may be done, but no one's communicating that it's done. And I literally have to call 311 and file a secondary follow-up complaint rather than somebody getting back to me on the first complaint. And I think we got to look at the system of saying,
Okay.
if the counselors can't get the information, how do we expect our residents to get information that they put into that system? We have to have a response to say, not that the repairs are made, but what was done.
Yeah, we'll certainly talk to the 311 team, but if there are specific examples where the loop is not working, given we are in an initial phase, we would love to get some examples.
I'll speak to you more directly on it. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay. Lastly, could we get a copy of the presentation just in writing or electronically? Again, same point. We should be getting this before the meetings, not at the meetings.
Yeah. So I hear you loud and clear, Councillor Nicholson. It's already posted in the agenda, so it's there. If you need help with the link, just let me know and I'll flip it to you.
Well, I mean, I look at the minutes, it says presentation. I went to click to see what the presentation was. There wasn't one.
Okay, it is posted at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. So we do have one more person on a speaker's list. It was in the addendum. I know I read it last night. Okay, we do have Councillor McDougall, and go ahead.
Thank you, Eric, for your presentation. Thank you very much. I'm just looking at slide 3 in the presentation, and it has a rural cross section in it, which actually really excites me. It shows a bicycle lane, but I know that the region has a paved shoulder policy across the board now for all the rural roads. So my question is in terms of maintenance. I'm assuming it's a 2-case scenario. One where we have identified lanes or shoulders that will be for cycling or can be used for cycling. Say, for example, Reach Road goes between Uxbridge and Port Perry. And I'm looking at, in terms of specifically the minimum maintenance standard that goes past the industrial area, the lane typically has a fair bit of debris in it, like metal or even glass debris from the industrial, from the scrapyard, from the heading to the transfer station. And then the other question is in terms of the shoulders, my friends refer to them as tractor lanes, my farming friends. But so in the shoulders that are not intended for cycling, have those been looked at in terms of a maintenance standard, like how we will deal with either of those issues? And then is it scheduled, or like, to be honest, I've called before about having that lane swept and the response has been really good, but I'm just in terms of like, not having to call, is there kind of like, a review that would be done regularly? That's my first question.
Thank you. Through the chair. So yes, both questions. Good. The minimum maintenance standards for the province do include bicycle lanes and the shoulder standards. So we match those through ours. But as I said earlier, they're not kind of a planned and proactive approach to a lot of our service levels. They're all deficiency and complaint based. So exactly what you had done is what we rely on is people to notify us that there's something there that needs to be looked at. We then look at it and then make the repairs or the sweeping or the additional cleanup. So those are service level directed, and I think the conversation today is looking at those service levels to determine which ones can be still complaint driven or increasing certain ones to more proactive on defined bicycle lanes.
So in the region's defense, we haven't actually defined any of these lanes as cycling lanes as of yet. They're denoted in a plan but not marked. So the maintenance standards that we might apply to a cycling lane, we don't need to worry about because we haven't defined them as such.
Yes. So the answer to that one too is the region's maintenance standard for that is when a bicycle lane is connected to the roadway, we treat it like the roadway. Where things would get a little bit more to where you're getting to is with the sweeping standards and the debris. It's outside of the traveled portion of the lane, so we have to identify that as a bicycle traveled lane and then develop the service to say we're going to also remove debris from those.
So I guess just for clarification, is it a cycling lane when it's identified on the plan or identified on the road?
I will say identified in the plan.
Through you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
Go ahead, Ramesh.
It's a cycling facility when it's signed on the road, right? And typically, like, if it's a 2 to 2.5 meter paved shoulder, we have done that probably because, we've done that because it's on the regional cycling network and we would sign it. In terms of maintaining it, a couple of comments I would like to make is like, I've had some calls about debris and, when a truck goes with a loose material and it's spilling stuff on the paved shoulders, it's almost impossible for us to address it proactively because that takes just a minute, right? And we do have a road patrol function, which depending on the class of road, can be, 2 to 3 to 4 times a week. And that's something we are trying to strengthen the road patrol function. Like, when they're driving the road, like try and see if they can look for more things. The other one we also are trying to do is expand the use of City Rover. Right now it's only detecting potholes, but it's an artificial intelligence tool that's scanning visually whatever it sees on the road. And if that can be picked up, like those are other sources. So we need to increase the number of sources of this information, whether it's calls coming in to 311 or directly to staff, and technology. Like, the sooner we get to it, like, I've been contacted probably 2 to 3 times the last year, and they've always been attended to right away. So it's not like, just because we don't have a service level, we ignore it. Unfortunately, these things, like, there's no easy way to know that unless someone's been on the road. So we have patrols. A lot of time, my staff, like not even in the transportation branch, they would call people. Same thing with the utility contractors if they have not restored it well. We have road patrols to rely upon. Like, we have our own staff, and they call us, and we go after the utility companies. Sometimes, we have a small deposit, like, doesn't work, and these are all the things we are reviewing. But we do have a position that we are just about to fill. It's called the Corridor Control Officer, like, who's basically, when these things are responded to much more quicker. In combination with that, if we can put some service levels for cycling facility, like I'm hoping, like, end of 23 will be much better than 22. Thank you.
And just to follow up, so the region's done such a fabulous job on the paved shoulders, and in particular, just thinking of the Reach Road section for specifically, knowing that it's been there for such a long time, perhaps, and it's on the map, perhaps we can look at having it signed in the future. And I'll close off at that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric.
Hey, thank you very much, Councillor. We've got one additional speaker, Councillor Garrett. Right, there you go.
Thank you, Chair. Eric, thank you for the work done in Uxbridge Township. It's a vast area, as you noted, 131 kilometers that you're maintaining. Appreciate that takes time to get through. And frankly, think your team does a great job of maintaining them both during the inclement weather that we've been facing, but on an ongoing basis all year round. So thank you for that. Just a quick question, even though I'll probably get the pronunciation wrong. You talked about weed control. Could you speak just a little bit further about, is it Phragmites? Am I saying that the right way? If you could just comment on that, please. Thank you.
Just a second, your mic turned off. There we go. You're back.
Thank you for that. So, yes, that's perfectly fine pronunciation. They're also noxious weeds. We do have a service level for that, but it is not to destroy all of them that are out there. We go, again, based on a deficiency or a complaint notice, we investigate and see if it's going to impact the public in any way. In some areas, if it's not going to impact the public, then it's not all treated and destroyed because we can't keep up with it. In the initial stages, we were trying, but across the province, it's recognized it is going to, it's not going to be able to be eradicated. So we do with that. It is a service level. It's complaint based. So whenever anybody sees it, we appreciate the contact, and then we go out and we have contracted services to destroy it.
Perfect. That's all I need. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, that exhausts our speakers list. Just making sure there's no other questions or comments virtually or in the room. Right. Seeing none. Eric, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate all the work you do. I will echo Councillor Garrett's remarks, especially with the wind events that we had in Uxbridge. We mentioned it before the meeting, but just phenomenal work to clear those drifts that were almost two Mayor Barton's high there for a while. So again, just the equipment that you put together and ways that we can work together, we really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So next we are into reports. We're going to start with 7.2, and this is the proposed Clear Bags pilot in Clarington. Motion to move it? Okay. Seconded by Councillor Mulcahy. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, sorry, just a second. I missed the speakers. Let's go ahead.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. On page 3 of the report, you talk about the results of other municipalities with clear bag programs vary with diversion rates. Increases that are temporary or inconclusive. Are there any best practices that we can look at before we go out and spend $500,000? Because I'm not sure that spending that kind of money is the right thing to do. If we can find best practices, if we can take a look at what they've done and how we can implement that here instead of spending taxpayer dollars. That's my first question, Mr. Chair.
Through the chair, we'll let Gio address that. The report does contain, staff did do their research on what other municipalities, but I'll let Gio address that.
So we did a literature review on other programs, and I have staff members that are currently with us that came from Markham, and we have insight into what actually happened in Markham. And I also have staff from Kawartha Lakes, where they also implemented a clear bag. And she provided us an insight into what happened after, things eventually stabilized to where they were before. So our recommendation is that we do not move forward with this, especially for 2024, given all the other changes, and that we revisit this after we've made those other changes.
Your mic, Councillor Manning.
And even revisiting it into past 2024, I just don't think it's a good use of $500,000 if we see in the report diversion rate increases that are temporary or inconclusive. The fact that at the end, near the end of the report, it speaks to the fact that the rates went back to diversion numbers generally returned to pre-clear bag levels after the first year. I just don't see a point of doing a pilot project if we can look at what Markham does, how Markham has been, or which of these best practices have been the most successful. And if we want to implement a program, we just implement a program instead of wasting taxpayer dollars. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor. On the speakers list, we next have Councillor Nicholson. Just a second. There you go. Oh, okay, he's no longer on that list. Let's try this again.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'd like to move an amendment. And the amendment's quite simple. That after the word B in Part A, put in the word terminated, and the remainder of the A, B, etc. be eliminated from the motion.
Okay, just can you repeat that?
It would change the recommendation to basically that the implementation of a clear garbage bag pilot project in Miss Bag Clarington be terminated.
Okay.
And just to speak to that, if it's in order.
Just make sure that that's in order. Okay, we do need a seconder on that. Okay, so Councillor Crawford.
Yeah. We often I'm being negative today. I'm trying not to be. Just because another municipality gets a brainwave and wants to bring in a program doesn't mean we have to have it too. I see no benefit whatsoever to changing from opaque bags to clear bags, other than it's a PR exercise to kind of make it look like we're doing something. First of all, the vast majority, I mean the overwhelming vast majority of residents that I've spoken to don't want this system. And when you have to force through a system on the public or find a way to convince them that it's a good thing, then you probably don't have a good program that you're advancing. No one has called me up and said, Councillor Nicholson, I'm really objecting to having green garbage bags or black garbage bags. I want clear ones. In fact, I hear the exact opposite. People don't want their neighbors seeing what garbage they're putting out. And I think if, we can do the pilot project, we waste all this money. It's my firm belief when you bring it back, you're going to get a reaction from the region saying, don't do it. So if that's my perception today before we start the pilot, let's save us all the money and the time and effort. Let our staff work on other things. I simply don't see any benefit to the taxpayers of Durham by making this change, whether it's a pilot or permanent. And I think that this council, being a new council, has to be given the opportunity to either say yes, continue with the pilot, or no. I'm suggesting that we should recommend not proceeding. If council has a different point of view, then they can reinstate the recommendations. But I think it's prudent for this committee, who looks after waste and it works department, that we make the best possible recommendation to our council. And I believe that sincerely is to not conduct this pilot project and terminate the program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Chair Henry's on. Are you speaking about the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect. Let me
So,
there you go.
just for clarification, this was something that was sent back to this committee through council, that this amendment would be contrary to the direction that council was given to committee, and I'm wondering if the clerk can give us a recommendation on the amendment, or is this something that should be referred back to the date? Just a quick question.
Sorry, through the chair. It may be contrary because it is going against completely what the recommendations are being put forward. So just in discussion with the CAO, it might be a better approach maybe to report back at the end of 2024 and then decide whether or not it should be terminated at that time. Just maybe a bit premature at the moment.
Okay, so yeah, so we have an amendment on the floor. Chair Henry, do you want to speak again on this? You're about to hit your mic.
I'm not speaking against the amendment. I'm speaking about procedurally how this is managed. Through to the clerk, the best way to move forward with this item, the amendment, would be to.
So I don't think the amendment should go forward about terminating the program. Maybe the amendment would be rather that this be deferred until 2024 and with a report brought back then after we know the impacts going forward on the waste program.
So a deferral would be in order, but the amendment as it's written as right now is out of order then.
Yes, and I believe that's
Okay. So, folks, why don't we let the clerks? This is going to be a little bit complicated. Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Well,
Brian, your mic's not on. So,
If you are suggesting the council referred to us to how to do a pilot project in 2023, 2024, the recommendation is to not do it and defer it to a later date using the chair's analysis, then this recommendation is equally contrary to what the council's previous direction was. We have to have the ability as a works committee to say, when we get new information, this report's got new information, to basically allow the council to decide whether they want to pursue and continue the old action, or terminate. And this is a new council. Previous council made the recommendation. This council with new members may have a different point of view.
So, and Brian, just I don't want to debate on the floor here at all, but
God forbid.
I think we all agree. We just need to make sure it's in order to make sure that procedurally we're following the rules. So, I would call for a 5-minute break. Allow clerks to give us some advice on how to actually accomplish what we're trying to do here.
Actually, Chair, I don't think the clerks can do this in 5 minutes. Why don't we just refer it to the next work committee meeting?
Okay.
That way it gives them time to research it.
Sure.
Brian, Councilor Nichols, I'm not disagreeing with what you're trying to say.
No, I understand. I want to do the same thing too. I just want to give this council a chance to offer its viewpoint on whether we want to proceed or not.
So Councilor Mayor Pietri seconded the referral.
Yep.
So,
Second.
So we just call.
Yeah. So, thank you very, very much, Mr. Chair. So, just want to make sure that that motion is in order because we did have an amendment on the floor.
The whole thing will be referred to.
Okay. So we have a referral motion on the floor, just to make sure everyone's clear. Brian, Councilor Nicholson, your mic's still on, just so you're aware.
Sorry?
Your mic is still on, just so you're aware. There, it's off now. So folks, to just be really clear what we're doing here, we have a motion on the floor to refer this report to the next Works Committee meeting. That way, and the amendment to the next Works Committee meeting to make sure that we are following procedure and actually that everything's in order. Is that everyone's clear? All right. So, all in favor? Okay, that's carried and unanimous. All right. Now, do we want to take a break or are we good to keep going? We're good to keep going. Okay, perfect. So, folks, we are now at all the reports. So why don't we do? We'll get a mover and a seconder for all the reports. Then we'll ask for polls. So moved by Vice Chair Marin Pietri, seconded by Councillor Wakahi, and then we have poll of F, and G, and Councillor Yamada, and D. All right. So all in favor of the remainder? That's carried, and then let's first go to. We'll go to F first. Okay. Oh, we'll go in order. Again, this is. We'll go to D first. Thank you very much. And someone want to speak on D? Okay. Go ahead, Councilor Yamada.
Thank you. Just taking a look at the report, one question, I guess. Part C of the recommendation and within the report talks about the amounts being the cost would be nominal or minimal. Do we have any idea of what those costs would look like? What nominal or minimal is or could be?
Go ahead, Jenny.
Thank you. Through the chair, $0.
Okay, thank you.
That sounds like minimal. All right. Any further questions, Councilor Yamada? All right. Any other questions on D? Seeing and hearing none. Now, clerk, should we move and second this one and get it off the floor? Okay. So all in favor? That's carried. Next, we're on F. Councilor Marin Pietri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to begin by noting that the current policy, unless I'm mistaken, dates back to when hockey players didn't wear helmets, when seatbelts weren't in cars, and when some were likely drinking milk with their pasta. So we've got 4 decades, maybe 5 between us, since that policy was informed. And I want to thank Commissioner Presta, the chair, and anyone that was involved in advancing a modernized policy that takes the drama out of simply getting clean drinking water. We are in 2023. I know there's going to always be an argument as to what costs or mechanisms may be involved in securing clean drinking water. There shouldn't be. And I think we've taken the latter out. The mechanism is pretty clear. It's one that I think will work, and the cost element is whether you're charging $1 or $10. Someone's always going to have concerns with cost because, especially in the current economic climate, people aren't in the mood for extra costs. But here is an opportunity for us to remove a lot of the controversy or the contention. And I still believe, when considering the cost that really, would be borne by the service provider, which is us, in comparisons to, the connection and the provision of this service, I think it's reasonable to understand that there is an upside. And I'd like to put forward my support openly, positively, and in the hopes of getting the support of not only the committee but the council in moving forward with something that I know that individuals will probably come back and say, well, you remember what happened in, X, Y, and Z, issue or generation or in this year, we had to do this, that, and the other in order to get the same thing. Well, that's then, and this is now. And I think our council is working under the leadership of Chair Henry and our staff through Commissioner Presta to advance modernized services. And I think it's not only prudent but important for us to understand that if we don't advance this policy, this new modernized policy, in a timely way, every opportunity we have to be able to execute on it that we don't, there could be a crisis when it comes to clean drinking water. We've seen it before in the early 2000s. The last thing we need to do is turn on the news and have Durham be a national news story. So I'll caution anyone that, and I'll say it respectfully, because I know that there are considerations with respect to delaying potentially and wanting maybe to adjust costs and so on. I completely respect that approach, but I would caution us in doing so because I do think that if there are concerns with how many areas in our community still are outlying, what the costs are, I think we can still move forward with this modernized policy and have the commissioner inform us through an addendum potentially. Just wanted to ask through you if that was possible. That could come back to council in the case that there were still considerations or concerns with respect to the new policy. But concluding, because I know that my time's coming up, I want to make sure that I'm upfront as one of the proponents who's pushed very hard over the last number of terms to modernize this policy, to support this new policy, because I think it's going to be beneficial to many generations and of homeowners that potentially could benefit from something that we should, understand as being almost a right in Canada, clean drinking water. So this connects potentially people who would have been in trouble or could be in trouble, and we want to eliminate that risk and that public safety concern. And I think this policy helps us do that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to comment on whether or not we can get an addendum on when this comes to council.
Just through the chair, just to clarify what information were you referring to?
Oh, just a second. Go ahead.
So if there were questions about, how many neighborhoods this could affect or something along those lines, I know that we don't have this in the report now, but if there is a question, because I do have respected colleagues that have asked me that, I can't answer. I know staff may not be able to do it on the fly, but if we can move forward, if we move forward with this, could there be an addendum that offers up that information to satisfy council members who may be concerned with that?
Yeah, through the chair, I believe what you're referring to is finding out the information of the number of properties and frontage within the urban area currently that would mimic the situation in Sun Valley, and we can do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Before
and I
we can
appreciate you
follow up with a memo.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you noting this is an urban area. So anyone that's considering the new policy, I think we need to inform and understand it as being one that is within an urban area. So to not have municipal or clean drinking water in an urban area is an anomaly, and this is something that we're trying to solve by way of this new policy. And I think it's both functionally prudent and fiscally prudent, but above all, provides us on safe footing when it comes to, public safety specific to clean drinking water. So I wanted, through you, Mr. Chair, to the Commissioner, thank you very much for advancing this modernized policy.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we've got Councillor Crawford.
Really? I don't think so.
Okay, you're on the speakers list, but you can
I don't think so.
you can turn off your mic, and we're good to go to Councillor Yamada.
Thank you. Just a couple questions. I think part of the issue with the low success rate for these petitions happens to be when residents see the costs, the frontage charges, the connection fees. I know I had some residents from Hanover Court in over the summer, and I think all in, each resident was looking at about $65,000. And I think this is becoming cost prohibitive for residents, and I think that's why we see these low petition rates or success rates for petitions. But I don't think, just taking a look at the cost for these residents in Oshawa of about $25,000, $26,000, and it could be more. I think for me, what I would like to see, number one, is how many of these little subdevelopments there are within the urban boundary, and what would be the cost for the region to do all the work. I agree with Councillor Marin Pietri where clean drinking water is a right, and as the costs, or as we've seen coming out of this pandemic, that inflation is going up and these costs are going up. So if you're a senior living in one of these homes and these charges, they're going to do the road, so we're going to put in the servicing and you can connect in, but the costs, I believe, are becoming prohibitive for residents to actually access these services. So I would like to know how many of these how many homes within the urban area there are, and what the cost would be for the region picking up the tab. I also want to know, when we talk about working with the local municipality in terms of the work being done when the local municipality has identified the local road requires reconstruction based on condition assessments, and the local municipality has approved the road reconstruction and associated funding to proceed with the road project. What kind of conversations were had with local area municipalities? So those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, John.
So through the chair, first, as mentioned to Councillor Marin Petrie, we can follow up before council with the number of residents that are not serviced with water and sewer within the urban boundary throughout the region. We will attempt to do that before council. We will also estimate the cost, roughly high level, to service all those, and we can probably pull off the frontage of all those properties. And then your third question was related to conversations with the local municipality. We have conversations with all the local municipalities because we have to coordinate the road program for all the local municipalities with our services. With respect to this particular report or proposed policy, I'm going to pass it on to Mike Hubble, who was the author of the report on conversations with local municipalities.
Yeah, through the chair. So we have quarterly dialogue with all of our municipalities about our proposed work and our road programs. For this particular report, we had, because it was related to Sun Valley, we had a lot of discussions with the City of Oshawa staff, to find out what their plans were for Sun Valley. But we do meet quarterly. We let the local municipalities know, the staff know that this report was coming, and we're looking at opportunities for these legacy servicing areas.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the speakers list, we've got Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for this report. Question. The first question was, and I think it was answered, was so this applies to local roads as well. So when local roads are determined by the local municipality to be replaced or to be replaced, then that's when this policy will come into effect. I'm seeing a head shake, so that's a yes. The second question is so this will no longer require the petition type circumstance. I'm just thinking in an area where there's a petition that went out, and I think the majority of property owners all agreed to be part of it, but the problem is it's the majority of property owners with the majority of value. So a couple large properties didn't decide to take part, and that terminated the servicing agreement or the services moving forward. So this policy will replace that completely. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes. When, as you mentioned, there's a proposed road reconstruction by the local municipality, and there's no municipal services, water and sewer. We're going to coordinate that with the local municipal project, and that we don't require the petition process.
Very good. That's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, and just I'm gonna speak about this from a personal perspective, and typically we don't, but I live on a road within an urban boundary. I'm on well and septic, and my water and septic are perfect. No issues. I have a fair bit of frontage, so it would be extremely expensive, and there wouldn't be any benefit for me to connect. But my neighbor right across the road, exactly the opposite situation, has water issues. He would sign up in a moment. This gives us both the opportunity to do what we want to do. I like this policy. It would work for someone in my situation, which means it would work for many other residents throughout the region. So I think it's a great step in the right direction. I agree with the vice chair on this, and great step forward. I'll be supporting this. All right, so we have a mover and seconder for all the reports. So any additional questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, that's carried again unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so we are now at G. Go ahead, Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you. Just, I want to be clear in my mind that what we're doing here for $2.25 million. We put in a metal bin liner, for a better word, under the road, so we could eventually put in a sewer system, which we then decided we weren't going to put in. So for the last 18 years, this is like a culvert under the 401. It's just been sitting there empty. And now we're going to spend, what, $2.25 million to take it out? Have I understood that correctly? Is what we're doing here?
Through the chair, that's a very good summary, but it's not that easy. It's not. It's more complex, and this project, as documented and as you said, was a challenge with the contractor. It basically didn't work out. We were monitoring the situation. MTO has been monitoring the situation and was aware of it. It took us quite a bit of time to figure it out and also get approval from MTO to restore it. And it's highly recommended that we proceed because I personally do not want any sinkholes on the 401. We experienced that on a project in Whitby that occurred 2 or 3 times. We need to get this done. That's
all right.
And it is very expensive. It's we pre-qualified the number of contractors, and we have, we had 3. There's very limited contractors that can do this type of work. And we went through, we got the right consultant looked at many options, worked with the ministry, and it's highly recommended that we proceed.
I guess the question I just want to understand. The question that goes on my mind: why can't we just fill it in now? Like, why are we going to take anything out? I mean, it's been sitting there with a hole for 18 and a half years. Why can't I just bring in the cement contractor and simply fill up the entire tube, for want of a better word, and just fill it with concrete? It's not going to collapse then.
Through the chair, it's not that simple.
Well, that's
it,
what
it
I'm asking.
it requires specialized grouting, so that you can't just fill it in. It's underground. It's an underground tunnel, and it's complex. So you can't just drive up a concrete truck and hope that the cement's going to get to the right location. So underneath the 401.
All right. Then, if you say it has to be done, then the next thing I put in is that MTO is going to be replacing the bridge at Albert. Is going to be doing other works along that stretch of the 401. They're going to widen the 401 with a tremendous amount of construction. Did we give any consideration to including this particular project in with their project? And simply let them do it when they're tearing up the road anyway.
Through the chair, yes, that's a great question. And yes, our staff, we coordinate work with MTO on an annual basis. MTO does not want to do utility work. So they refer this as utility work. So the region's going to be undertaking this project. I'm sure you're aware currently the region has a contract where we're putting in new feeder main before the MTO contractor gets on site for the new interchange at Simcoe and the Albert Bridge. So MTO historically, way back in the past, they would do work for utilities and put it in their contract. They're getting away from that. They want the utilities to do the work separately.
So they want us to pay for it so they don't have to. Have I got that underground properly?
That's correct.
Yeah. See, this is my concern, is that the benefiting agency for the remediation or the decommissioning of this is MTO. Yet they're contributing absolutely nothing to the project. So it's not on our land. We don't own the land. It's their land.
Through the chair, just want to clarify this. This tunnel was as a result of a regional project back in 2003.
And I'm sure you put it in with the permission of MTO at that time.
That's correct, but it was
on their land
for our services, so it's our
okay.
responsibility.
But my point is, they now own that land, and they're not contributing anything to. Basically, we're shoring up their project. They want to widen the project. They want us to basically subsidize their expansion.
Again, just to clarify,
please clarify to me. I don't get it.
The tunnel work was originally a regional project, right? We have to fix it. It's not region. The Highway 401 widening has nothing to do with this project. So
could if this was not done, could they proceed with their widening?
Yes, they could proceed.
Okay. I'm reading it otherwise in the report. That's what I'm trying to understand. Have we considered using this existing culvert to put the water connections across the 401 rather than putting new connectors in?
It was considered whether water or other utility could use it, but again, it's a risky business there. We've had more than one engineer review it, and the recommendation is to decommission
right.
it.
The reason I was asking that is because you are putting in better water connections on our Tono because we have the problems with water quality. And if we're going under the highway 150 yards to the east, it seems crazy that we're taking out one operation and sealing it and then opening up a new one, just directly to the east. If we could, and there's no way to use this culvert to transport existing water across the 401?
Through the chair, if we as I mentioned, we did examine it, and we cannot use it.
And the answer was you couldn't do it, engineering, or it was going to cost more money, or what was the answer?
It was reviewed by professional engineers, and it's not recommended.
It's not the answer I asked. The question I asked, could it be done, or was it simply that their preferred option was to take it out?
It was examined by professional engineers, and to reduce the risk of not having sinkholes, it is highly recommended to decommission the tunnel.
All right. So it's not the access, it's the sinkhole issue that's driving this. Okay. All right. Those are my questions answered. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any additional questions on that? Seeing and hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, none. That's carried. All right. There are no advisory committee resolutions. I think we're down to the date of the next meeting, which is February. Other business? Go ahead, Councillor Nicholson. You have to push your button first.
Yep. Just a couple of questions on a different matter. I'm hearing some information which has caused me a concern about who's paying for garbage pickup in Durham Region. And I want to confirm whether or not this is an accurate statement. I was told that the Region of Durham covers 100% of the garbage pickup in the 6 municipalities where the region or its contractors pick up the garbage. Is that correct?
Gio?
So the region is responsible and pays for the garbage pickup in all the agencies, all the municipalities. But Whitby and Oshawa, I believe there's a reconciliation at the end of the year for that. But for the other municipalities, we pay for it all. Yes.
Okay. Well, this is the point I wanted to make, because when I heard it was that the local tier was picking up in Oshawa and Whitby, and the upper tier was picking up the other 6. So at the end of the year, if the lower tier spends, I say hypothetically, lower tier spends $3.5 million collecting garbage, is that then funded by the Region of Durham with no cost in the lower tier, or is the lower tier stuck with some of the costs?
Oh, just a second, Chair.
Just maybe to help the conversation as clarification, that there is a difference, and if you talk to your treasurer, there is an amount that goes into your year end that does offset, and it is recorded and it is dealt with that way. I'm sure if you talk to Ms. Sinnott, she can give you the amount for this year.
And they did already, and I spoke to our operator for the garbage, Mr. Salmi, as well. What they don't understand is the reconciliation where the region picks up 100% of the cost, or is it the lower tier and Oshawa and Whitby have a portion of that cost, and the region only covers another portion? That's what I'm trying to clarify. In all the other 6 municipalities, the region picks up everything.
Do you know what? I think the best thing to do is to leave it with staff, and to have our finance staff contact Oshawa staff, and if there's questions, just relay them to your treasurer.
Well, I would for the staff get that information and give it to me, and then at least I know whether the region's picking 100% of the garbage costs or not.
So it has to stay with staff for now. They'll get back. I'm sure. I'm speaking only as
No.
Staff will get back to you, but I think staff will get back to all of this.
Well, if they want to give it to the entire committee, I got no problem. I'm just raising it as other business. I just want to make sure that if regions paying costs, they paid equally to every municipality, not.
Yeah, I think the way I remember it, but I've been gone for a long time, is it actually shows up in your financial statements at the end of your budget where there is an amount, but I understand you're looking for some clarification. So
That's all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business? Councillor Crawford, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say we did have a Vision Zero meeting in December, but I don't have a formal report to give you. I do want to say that we've been, the Vision Zero has been actively putting in leading pedestrian crossings. So to give pedestrians a head start before traffic starts to move, they're going in many of the municipalities. And we do have a meeting in January, I think. Steve, did you get an invite? I think. Yeah. So hopefully we'll have a report for you in February.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. I don't see any other business. Move to adjourn. Moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Councillor Yamada. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone.